Meta stock has been crashing for the last year and has lost over 50% of its value. And this is making me excited because it's now one of the biggest investment opportunities out there. And here is why. For this video, I want to break down my investment thesis into two parts: the valuation and the opportunity. Valuation. For the valuation part, Meta is right now dirt cheap. Meta is active in digital marketing, and that is their bread and butter. Their biggest competitor is Google in this field, with 28% market share versus the 25% market share of Meta. However, the valuation of Google is much higher than Meta. Meta is currently valued at 50 times earnings, while Google is actually valued at 22 times earnings. Meaning that you are actually paying 50 times the earnings of Facebook whenever you buy the stock. Usually, you could expect that the company is growing earnings with 50% with a multiple of 50 times earnings. The problem here though is that Meta is having a tough year and recognizes that they might have multiple problems they will need to solve this year. They are currently suffering from high competition from TikTok and will need to compete with their Instagram Reels. The Reels, however, are not monetized in the same way as the rest of the content in the Facebook ecosystem. So they're currently working hard on making sure that this part is also monetized. Additionally, they're also suffering from reduced measuring of their effectiveness of their ads due to less tracking on the Apple devices. In order to work around this, they purchased a new supercomputer which they will be using to create new algorithms with AI that will be less reliant on user data for the ad targeting. On the long term, however, Meta is working on another long-term solution which I will be covering later. This year will most likely be a year with zero growth for Meta, and the stock might actually even go further down. With Meta currently trading at 50 times earnings compared to the competitors and other big tech stocks, I believe that the downside is currently limited. So the opportunity, this will actually be a nice experiment from Zuckerberg, since Zuckerberg is literally betting the company on the Metaverse. In 2015, Facebook acquired Oculus and made their first investment in the VR space. Their grand vision was to build the next computing platform where the internet will be moving away from screens and will be present in headsets and augmented reality. By creating their own platform, they will be able to be independent from Apple or other devices and will have control of their own destiny. The path towards this investment will actually take us more than 10 years before we will get there. In 2019, Meta made a huge success in the VR space with the release of the Oculus Quest 2. This device has outsold the Xbox Series X for more than 10 million units, and they have over 65% market share on Steam VR. There are still problems with the headset though, because this device is not useful enough to replace our mobile phones and is collecting dust from most of the users in their closet. In our time, the mobile phone is the most valuable product that we're using because we're spending most of our time on it. In order for the Quest 2 or any other Meta device to be more valuable, it will need to replace phones and be the new platform on which we will spend our time on. This will be one of our biggest bets in our history, where 60 or 80 billion is actually invested, but we won't be sure if we will be getting any returns for this investment. For Meta, the ads business is profitable enough to fund their investments into the Metaverse. Their biggest competitor in the space is Apple. Even though they don't have any VR or AR headsets, they are actively researching. They are actually expected to release a headset this year. However, Apple is slowly making their moves into the space, with including LiDAR in their iPhones and with making their chips more energy efficient with the M1 chip, for example. Energy efficiency will be key, since you won't want a headset burning away your head. Even though the odds seem to be against Meta, I wouldn't bet against Mark Zuckerberg. We're talking about the founder, passionate enough with his product to expand it over the entire world, with over 3 billion users on the Facebook platform. Building a world-class team advanced in AI where all the research are published. And we're talking about a man that built Jarvis inside of his own home to shoot a grey t-shirt cannon. This shows where the passion goes. Even though I'm so bullish on Meta and where it's headed, it's not my biggest position in my portfolio. My biggest position is a company that's so ambitious that it will change the entire world as you and I know it. If you want to learn more, you got to watch this video next.